Chapter 306, Annihilated. Under the dark night's obscure moonlight, Tang Xiu quietly left as though a ghost and soon appeared at a dark secluded thicket. He took out a satellite phone and then called Wolfhead. The pirates are using hostages to threaten us. How can we get rid of all the pirates while ensuring the safety of the hostages? Tang Xiu whispered. It's very difficult to achieve unless we wait and retreat. Wait and retreat? Tang Xiu was somewhat puzzled. As long as they are on the island and holding the captives, we can achieve nothing if we want to kill them as well as ensure the safety of the hostages. Unless they board the ship and set sail, only then can we sneak into their ship and assassinate them, said Wolfhead. What you proposed is also a solution. But if they board the ship, it will be very hard for us to slip into the ship to assassinate them without us being spotted. Also, we gotta decimate the second leader of this bloodfish pirates as soon as possible. Otherwise, they will still have a backbone, greatly increasing the difficulty for us to assassinate them, said Tang Xiu. Wolfhead was silent for several seconds before he then slowly said, "Then, I'll assassinate this England." No. It's very easy for me to kill him, but I fear those hostages will be killed if I rashly kill him, said Tang Xiu. I have observed the remaining pirates. They have a total 61 people left now. If all of us were to coordinate and ambush them in a strategic terrain, shooting at them in a close distance, we should be able to kill more than half of their numbers. Also, we need to assign 4 of our people to stay on guard to especially observe those pirates. Whoever amongst them shoots the hostages in the forefront, they must kill them in advance. However, I can't guarantee that all the hostages will survive, though, said Wolfhead. Tang Xiu silently analyzed Wolfhead's proposal in his mind. If he let those pirates leave, the remaining 9 hostages would highly likely be killed. But if he carried on the killing and rescue on 9 Dragon Island, some of the hostages would probably die. After measuring and weighing the whole situation, Tang Xiu made up his mind and said in a heavy voice, "We'll do it according to your suggestion. Killing these pirates is a risky and dangerous act in itself, and dying is, but also a possibility. We'll do our best even if those hostages are in a dangerous situations." After hanging up the phone, Tang Xiu watched the pirates' advancing direction. He circled from the flank as though a fast wind or electrical spark. After 4 to 5 minutes, he approached Wolfhead and the others' hiding place. "Have you informed An and Ao?" Tang Xiu took the binoculars handed by his man and whispered. "They have been informed and should be here soon," said Wolfhead. Nodding in reply, Tang Xiu then used the binoculars to observe, finding that the pirates were holding the remaining 9 hostages and walking toward this direction. At this time, they looked frightened and constantly moved their guns' muzzles around. "Boss, considering their speed, it should take about 4 minutes for them to arrive at our position. Are you thinking to make this spot as an ambush point?" asked Wolfhead in a whisper. Looking at the surrounding, Tang Xiu assented with a nod, "Yes. Though we are in a disadvantageous position because of the inclination, our tracks are completely concealed. Unless they climb the boulders on both sides, they won't be able to find us. Also, we mustn't open fire before they've arrived and we can't accidentally hurt the hostages in the forefront. Hence, we must wait until they passed, shooting them in the back." "Boss, I think it's not quite right. We should put a few people here while the rest circle to the back. But the 4 men staying here, their main purpose is to monitor those pirates who are very close to the hostages and can freely kill them. If they find that their muzzles are aimed at the hostages, they will shoot them immediately," said Wolfhead. "Okay." After thinking, Tang Xiu directly approved it. He didn't have knowledge about military tactics and devising battle plans. But Wolfhead was once the top ace of the country's special forces and had undertaken numerous missions and devised numerous battle plans by himself. Thus, his opinion was worth employing. Shortly after, the Mo brothers also quickly arrived and approved with a nod upon hearing Wolfhead's idea. "On, both of you, along with Wolfhead and Wang Ming, will team up. Your main purpose is to kill those pirates who are close to the hostages. I will kill England first, while the rest will slay the other pirates as fast as you can. We must be fast, ruthless and accurate. If any pirates escape, you don't need to chase them down, kill most of the pirates first instead, said Tang Xiu. No problem. Everyone nodded. Time flew by. Quickly, those pirates holding the hostages were about 100 meters away from An, Ao, and the others' ambush point. Behind them were Tang Xiu with 5 of his men, following along quietly. The distance was only 40 to 50 meters away from the pirates in the forefront. Keep yourselves concealed and approach them as close as you can, Tang Xiu ordered in a whisper. A minute after, Tang Xiu climbed up a big tree and looked through the branches and leaves. The pirates were about 20 to 30 meters away as his vision swept at them and then finally locked on England, aiming his muzzle at him. Bang! A gunshot was sound as a bloody hole was created on the back of England's head. His eyes stared wide as he turned his head with difficulty to look at Tang Xiu's direction. His vision turned blurred as he lost his consciousness and died on the spot. Bang, bang, bang. Rat-tat-tat. Intense gunfire broke out as tongues of flames burst in and out. Bullets poured out as though raindrops, aiming toward the pirates, while submachine gun shots also barked from both sides of the pirates. Ruin. Ah! A pirate who was scared to death screamed sharply as he snowballed himself to avoid the bullets fired into the nearby thicket. Unfortunately, bad luck befell unto him as a bullet made a hole on his head and he finally dropped down on the thick patches of grass, motionless. Of the more than 60 pirates, except for those who were shot dead, all fled to every direction. They didn't have the capacity and reaction a regular army possessed, neither they possessed the loftiness to be valiant and fearless. They were pirates, hoodlums, and thugs who would even betray their souls for money and benefits. When they were powerful, they would ruthlessly bully and massacre others, but in the face of more powerful and vicious enemies, they would fall into fear and run away. After half a minute, except for dead bodies everywhere, only 7 or 8 pirates who were lucky enough to quickly flee into the bushes by the side of the road were left. The rest all died a horrible death. But 4 among the 9 hostages were shot and killed during the counterattack of the pirates, along with 2 injured. Tang Xiu strode into the middle of the dead bodies and released his spiritual sense to cover the area. Bang, bang. As his fingers pulled the trigger, he directly shot and killed 4 or 5 severely wounded pirates who were not directly killed and pretending to be dead. Retracting his spiritual sense, Tang Xiu looked at the frightened hostages on the ground and asked in a deep voice, "Tell me who you are." A white-haired Caucasian man with an injured leg who sat slumped on the ground answered, "We are the residents of the southern bird island who got caught and held captives by them." "Who are you guys?" "I'm the owner of this island," said Tang Xiu. "You lie. The owner of this island is James Bond. I once helped him construct the buildings here." "He's a good rich man," said the Caucasian man whilst shaking his head. "Don't tell me you don't know that he sold this island?" "I'm the one who bought this island. Do remember later, my Chinese name is Tang Xiu and I'm the owner of this place," said Tang Xiu lightly. The man gulped down his saliva and said in a bit of awe, "I'll remember your name." Tang Xiu nodded and then said to Wolfhead and his men around, "2 of you stay here and dress up their wounds. The rest will chase down and kill the rest of the pirates. Do remember to kill them completely or as many as possible. If they run too fast and you can't find them, then let them be. In short, I don't want any pirates on 9 Dragon Island before dawn." "Roger that, boss." Wolfhead motioned 2 men as the rest then ran toward the forested hills around. But Mo-On and Mo-Ah entered the woods to chase down the pirates. Then, Tang Xiu looked at the southern bird island's residents and calmly said, "You don't have to be afraid. I'm the owner of this place and not one of these vicious pirates. Not only will I guarantee your safety, I'll also ensure your safe departure of this island. For now, I'll have to trouble you to return to the castle with us." Then I'll send some people to escort you back to Southern Bird Island after you have a good rest tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Upon hearing it, the 5 people immediately looked ecstatic. Inside the castle, over 100 residents from Southern Bird Island were tied and locked up in a spacious hall. Each and every one of them had panicked expressions on their faces and were desperately struggling. Of the more than 100 of them, only 6 were men and the rest were women, mostly pretty young women. These women, many of them wore clothes that were unable to cover their figures and apparently had received severe abuse. Mayor Oshima, you gotta find a solution fast. If we can't escape, we'll all die here. With panic filling her eyes, a slightly fat woman quickly spoke with a tone of anxiousness and restlessness. In front of her was the mayor of Southern Bird Island, Kawasaki Oshima. Southern Bird Island originally had a small area, and the highest point on the ground didn't even exceed 10 meters above the sea level. However, due to the earthquake a few years ago, leading to the increase of the surface level of the Southern Bird Island, the area also increased 2 or 3 times. From there on, many immigrants had set up their home on this island. The entire Southern Bird Island only had a small town with a total population of no more than 1,000 people. Because Kawasaki Oshima had a high status there, everyone voted him as the mayor. In actuality, he was a mayor under the jurisdiction of the Japan government. After all, several thousand kilometers around the Southern Bird Island and dozens of islands there were under Japan's jurisdiction. He was already over his 40s, and it didn't betray Kawasaki Oshima's old state. He desperately struggled in an attempt to break the ropes on his body, but his futile efforts amounted to nothing. Those pirates' skill in tying up and binding were truly excellent. He worked hard for half an hour, yet there was no sign of it loosening. Chapter 307 Liberators. Time passed by and the over 100 people in the hall were getting more desperate. Except for a few who knew the existence of Nine Dragon Island, the rest had never even heard of this place. Such foreign environment, brutal pirates and, coupled with the burst of gunfire sounding from time to time, it were as though a Taoist voodoo spell was hastening them to their deaths and scaring them. In the corner, Yi Lianyan had already severed the rope that tied her hands behind her back. However, she didn't get up yet and even pushed her back to the corner and maintained the same posture. But her hand tightly held a folding fruit knife. She loved the ocean and used her summer vacation from Shanghai to visit the Southern Bird Island. Savoring the taste of the customs and visiting the beautiful environment there, even the only hotel where she stayed was facing the ocean. It was as though a warm spring with blooming flowers everywhere. Unfortunately, after having stayed in Southern Bird Island for more than half a month, when she was about to go to the other islands near Southern Bird Island, the pirates that had snuck into the island began their plunder. Thanks to her life in Sichuan opera family who possessed magical changing appearance techniques for generations, hence, she hastily used the cosmetics she brought to change her appearance when the pirates weren't paying attention to her. She actually possessed a beautiful face, but as the result of her efforts, she looked extremely ugly. It was precisely because of this that she was lucky enough to escape the abuses and ravages of those pirates, and was locked up with a few others. Everyone please think of a solution. We can escape even if only one person has untied his or her rope. Kawasaki Oshima was restless as he sweated profusely. After half a minute, nobody responded. No one got up. Yi Lianyan's expression constantly changed. She didn't know whether there were still pirates outside. Were they still there and learned she was the first to untie her rope, they would probably kill her. What should I do? Inside her innermost heart, a fierce battle commenced, causing her expression to constantly change. I gotta go ahead regardless. Even if there's only a slim chance of survival, I must get a hold of it. It's better to act rather than resign myself to death and do nothing. A determined expression finally appeared on Yi Lianyan's eyes as she removed the ropes from her body and suddenly stood. Bang! The muffled sound of a gunshot sounded. Yi Lianyan's face greatly changed. She instantly judged that someone had just shot the lock on the hall's door. Almost in a flash, she squatted on the floor, scrambling to grab the ropes and casually wrapped it back around her body. In the next moment, the hall's door was trampled open as several men in casual attire with submachine guns rushed into the hall. Upon seeing the situation inside, they instantly aimed their muzzles at the people inside. "The hostages are here, boss." A man turned his head and shouted toward the outside. Tang Xiu's figure appeared at the door as his eyes swept toward the crowd in the hall with anger suffused in his eyes. The vast majority of these hostages were women, most of whom were in a very pitiful and embarrassing state and had apparently been raped and ravaged. In the corner, Yi Lianyan's eyes instantly stared wide-eyed with an ecstatic expression in her eyes. The big man who just spoke was neither using English or Japanese. It was pure Mandarin. Mandarin? Are they from China? Her breathing turned faster. After firming her heart, she immediately stood and shouted, "Hey, I'm Chinese, and you are?" Tang Xiu was stunned, looking at Yi Lianyan's extremely ugly changed face and found that her clothes were still intact with only some scratches on her face. He immediately approached her and said, "Yes, we're Chinese. I didn't expect that these pirates also had kidnapped one of our fellow countrymen." "What's your name?" "Yi Lianyan." "How did you get caught?" asked Tang Xiu. "I was visiting this place, making use of my summer vacation after the CET. I eventually got captured and was transported with them here," said Yi Lianyan. Tang Xiu shook his head and sighed, "Your luck is not good, but it's not bad either. Congratulations. You're free now." Several men with submachine guns put their muzzles down and began to untie the hostages. After everyone stood, Kawasaki Oshima came before Tang Xiu with a face full of excitement and then respectfully said, "Hello, I'm Kawasaki Oshima. Thank you for saving us. You're our savior and liberator, we will remember you." Tang Xiu knitted his brows and asked lightly, "You're all Japanese?" "Yes," said Kawasaki Oshima. "Take a rest first then. I'll send some people to escort you back after dawn. Also, I hope you won't spread what happened here," said Tang Xiu. "Dear sir, we must try our best to publicize this act of kindness. After all, you drove away those pirates and you're also our hero. It is only right if everyone all over the world knows your heroic deeds," said Kawasaki Oshima. Tang Xiu indifferently looked at him and said lightly, "We are no heroes nor was it necessary for us to save you. It's just that I have bought this island, whereas those pirates happen to be occupying it, so it was necessary for us to drive them away. Hence, rescuing you was just a passing incident. Not to mention that once the matters here were to spread out, it would only bring us a lot of troubles." The over 100 rescued people looked at each other. They didn't understand what Tang Xiu was saying. However, Tang Xiu was the one who rescued their lives, they didn't want to bring trouble for him. Hence, they promised not to disclose anything that happened in this place. Certainly, the majority of them were women, to begin with. So they were naturally very satisfied with Tang Xiu's request to keep the matter confidential. After all, they were just violated by the pirates, which was severely detrimental to their reputations. Tang Xiu then said in a deep voice, "Anyhow, it is not particularly safe outside, though. Some pirates have escaped and I can't guarantee they won't be back sneaking here again to avenge their comrades. Thus, you have to stay here until we make sure that all the remaining pirates have left." "All right. Thank you." Tang Xiu shook his head and was ready to leave as Yi Lianyan quickly rushed over and grabbed his arm. She then shook her head and said, "I don't want to stay here. Can I go with you?" "You are the only Chinese here?" asked Tang Xiu after a moment's hesitation. "There's only me," said Yi Lianyan with a nod. "Come then. Hopefully the scene outside won't scare you off too much," said Tang Xiu. After leaving the hall, Tang Xiu then said to several of his men who just came out, "Pile up all the dead bodies and then wait for Wolfhead and the others to come back. Yes, the several men immediately dispersed upon hearing it. Half an hour later, Wolfhead, the Mo brothers, and the others arrived back and brought along 6 dead bodies. After throwing the corpses at the square outside the castle, Wolfhead respectfully said, "Boss, we only caught 6. A few of them have escaped. After we caught up to them, we found that those several pirates had been long gone by ship." Tang Xiu nodded. "Since they have escaped, just count it as their good luck. Anyways, pile up all the corpses. After burning them, we'll clean up the castle." "Yes." Wolfhead respectfully replied. Tang Xiu then looked to Mo An and said, "After dawn, take some men and escort those civilian captives to Southern Bird Island. After you got there, warn them to keep it all confidential." "Understood." Mo An replied with a nod. After the fierce and intense night battle, only a few of the more than 200 pirates escaped as all others were killed here, making Tang Xiu rather satisfied with the victory. None of his men died and only a few were injured. However, the damage to the castle was not small due to the gun battle. However, since Tang Xiu had planned to rebuild the place, he didn't seriously mind it. With Mo A accompanying him, he visited the entire castle and strolled around for several hours before returning to the square outside the castle with satisfaction. Yi Lianyan, who had been following Tang Xiu, tried to ask him questions many times, yet, seeing as how Tang Xiu was full of enthusiasm, she repressed her questions inside. At this moment, she finally couldn't help asking, "Big brother Tang, did you really buy this island?" "Yup," Tang Xiu laughed. Once again, she asked, "Who are you really? What are you gonna do with such an isolated island? To my knowledge, it would perhaps take 24 hours to sail from here to Southern Bird Island. Also, this place is very difficult to find if you have no precise sea route navigation. Have you read Tao Yuanming's Peach Blossom Spring?" Tang Xiu laughed. Yi Lianyan's eyes stared wide, astounded. "I have. It's the lore in the textbooks of junior high school." "You mean, you want to build a paradise here?" "Yup. I want to build a paradise here," Tang Xiu laughed. Yi Lianyan's mouth twitched a few times as she said with a strange expression, "Rich men such as you have very particular hobbies. But how would your men be so powerful? They killed those ferocious pirates without batting an eye. Also, those pirates had more than 200 people, yet only a few of them escaped, while the rest were all killed by you and your men. Isn't this rather too much?" Tang Xiu smiled faintly. "I don't want to answer this question. But I can give you some words for free, though." "What words?" asked Yi Lianyan, puzzled. Letting out a smile that was yet unlike one, Tang Xiu said, "A genuinely smart person is someone who knows how to feign ignorance. But someone who knows nothing yet wants to know the bottom of the matter would be just like the saying, 'Curiosity killed the cat.'" Yi Lianyan was stupefied for a moment as she then instantly lowered her head and fell into silence. Letting out a faint smile, Tang Xiu then turned to Wolfhead and said, "I give you 10 days to investigate the whole 9-Dragon Island. I must make sure that nobody except us are in this place. Besides, I'll also draw architectural designs and decide the construction company that will cooperate with me before I return to the mainland. Boss, I think the constructions here are rather fine." "Why do you want to rebuild it?" said Wolfhead. Chapter 308, Heavenly Blessed Land. Tang Xiu didn't explain to Wolfhead his plan to make 9-Dragon Island into a heavenly blessed land, the world's most suitable land for cultivation. Even if he told Wolfhead, the man wouldn't be able to comprehend it. After having landed on 9-Dragon Island, Tang Xiu keenly perceived that the concentration of heaven and earth's spiritual qi here was at least 5 times richer than in other places. When one take a deep breath, their body would feel comfortable. Were the 9 dragons spitting pearls secret area built completely here, the concentration of spiritual qi in the island would be a dozen times richer than the outside, even possible reaching 100 times. However, he didn't dare do it, for common people would perhaps choke to death were the concentration of spiritual qi in this place reach hundreds of times than that of the outside world. Don't ask so many questions. You'll understand it after this place has been rebuilt. Waving his hand and hinting at him to busy himself with other things, Tang Xiu then turned and headed toward the edge of the square. Looking down to the land below, his eyes finally landed on 100 meters wide prominent area bordering the woodland and the beach. The sun was rising. The moment the red glowing sun rose, Tang Xiu could clearly see a mass stream of purple qi descending from the sky to the earth, as it stretched out to reach the highest point of the land. Purple qi of Supreme Emperor? How is it possible for a Supreme Emperor purple qi to appear on earth? Tang Xiu's body greatly shook as a shocked expression burst out from his eyes. One must know that the purple qi of Supreme Emperor was the most distinct characteristic of the purple yang star domain in the immortal world. The domain only had 9 regions, with each having a stream of purple qi descending every year, and every stream of purple qi would bring enormous benefits for the immortals. When Tang Xiu was in the immortal world, he had once obtained 2 streams of Supreme Emperor purple qi after paying a great price. But he never imagined that it would also exist in this place. If I can fuse this purple qi of Supreme Emperor into my body, it will definitely bring me enormous benefits. Perhaps I'd be able to break through to the flesh-strengthening stage. Excitement. Ecstasy. It was rather hard to express Tang Xiu's mood at this moment. He had returned from the immortal world for a short time and his cultivation was still progressing slowly, hence, he had to find a shortcut if he wanted to get stronger. A few minutes later, Tang Xiu appeared at the spot where the purple qi of Supreme Emperor dissipated. He didn't give special attention to this place when he disembarked from the ship. At this time, he released his spiritual sense and had his star force surge in his meridians. He immediately sensed that the spiritual qi in this spot was very thin, yet he could feel a strong fluctuation of spiritual force under his foot. Huh? Tang Xiu was dumbfounded and astounded. There's a spirit spring underneath? This discovery astounded him to the point that it was hard for him to recover. He had speculated that the entire 9-Dragon Island must have a spiritual vein, yet he never imagined that not only did this place possess a spiritual vein, even a spirit spring existed here. A land featuring spiritual force would have an impact on a spirit spring, making the land accumulate a huge spiritual force. Were a cultivator to practice in such a place, not only would he be able to absorb the spiritual qi between heaven and earth, he could also draw the spiritual force within the spirit spring, resulting in double the result with half the effort. 1. Could there be other spirit springs? Recalling the other 8 roads that extended to the seaport, Tang Xiu immediately flashed toward the nearest road to the seaport. 10 minutes later, he stood there, releasing his spiritual sense as his star force inside revolved crazily. Immediately after, a look of ecstasy covered his face. It was there. He could clearly feel the spirit spring. Could it be that all the endpoint of the 9 roads to the seaport have a spirit spring? To confirm this marvelous thought, Tang Xiu began to survey around the entire 9 Dragons Island without stopping. The excitement on his face turned slightly thicker every time he arrived at another road. When he had completely verified all the 9 roads to the seaport, his excited face couldn't be brighter. Each endpoint of the 9 roads to the seaport had a spirit spring. 9 spirit springs. With the existence of these spirit springs, Tang Xiu could foresee his training of a large number of experts in the future with ease. Even after the 9 Dragons Spitting Pearls secret area had been built, cultivating a large number of people into Immortal Realm experts would also not be a problem. It's a must to make the best of the time for the reconstruction of this place. After pondering for a moment, Tang Xiu suddenly decided not to use overseas construction companies. He quickly took a satellite phone and dialed Long Zhengyu's cell number. Hello, Long Zhengyu speaking. Who am I speaking with? A deep voice belonging to Long Zhengyu was transmitted from the phone. It's me, Tang Xiu, said Tang Xiu. Star City. At the director's office of the Long Group. For a moment Long Zhengyu dazed, as a smile then immediately appeared on his face, saying, Tang Xiu. I've been calling you these days but was unable to get through you. Where are you now? Is there something you're calling me for? Asked Tang Xiu. It's not a big deal. I just want to ask whether you are in need of medicinal herbs. It's also related to the list of herbs you gave Chu Yi. My dad met with his old buddy a couple days ago, and his buddy has a medicinal herbs business in Haiqing province. That time, I was accompanying my dad and spoke to him about it, but I never thought he'd have so many good stuff there. Long Zhengyu laughed. I'll take it, as many as possible, said Tang Xiu immediately. Okay. Then I'll contact him later. I promise to get you a number of good quality medicinal herbs. Ah. Right. Something's up, said Long Zhengyu with a smile. Yup, and it's very important. I really want to talk to you in person though. But I'm abroad now, so I can only speak about it on the phone, said Tang Xiu in a deep voice. Tell me, replied Long Zhengyu with a serious tone. I have bought an island overseas and want to develop it, but I need a trusted and reliable construction company for it, said Tang Xiu. A hard-to-describe expression appeared on Long Zhengyu's face as he wryly smiled and said, Brother Tang, it's not a matter to handle. We don't have a construction company abroad, and we know nothing about the specific situation overseas. Can you register a company here? It's better to bring all the construction team from the mainland. It's fine even if I have to spend more money, said Tang Xiu. Forcing out a smile, Long Zhengyu said, this is not a problem that spending more money will solve. It's rather very troublesome to register a construction company overseas if the project is small. Zhengyu, you're mistaken. The island development I'm talking about is definitely not a small project. The sum I'm going to invest in it is at least 20 billion, said Tang Xiu in a deep voice. How much? Long Zhengyu jumped from his chair and shouted. 20 billion. And that's the minimal estimation. Long Zhengyu breathed faster. A big project with over 20 billion funds was something he hadn't heard many times in the country. If his Long family could undertake such a huge project, they could still make a lot of money even though they wouldn't be able to take other projects for 2 or 3 years. I'll take it. Long Zhengyu shouted with slightly red eyes. No problem. Since you want to do it, you'd better come to my place tomorrow. I'll send someone to Saipan to pick you up there, said Tang Xiu. There's a slight concern from me, though. If we can solve it, I can even begin to make arrangements for the construction team and equipment and get ready to go to your island, said Long Zhengyu quickly. What concern do you have? Asked Tang Xiu. It's about the situation in Saipan. I'm not familiar with that place as well as things related to the government, so it will be troublesome. You, on the other hand, have broad contacts. Do you have someone reliable who can help me over there? Said Long Zhengyu. Tang Xiu was silent for a moment before slowly said, there should be one. Who's the person? Asked Long Zhengyu quickly with a slightly happy expression revealed on his face. He's a friend of my man and seems to be someone with a quite powerful influence in Saipan. I can ask him for help if you have anything you can't handle on your end, said Tang Xiu. No problems. Well, I'll be going tomorrow. No, I'll rush to Saipan today. Tell me where to meet your men there, said Long Zhengyu in a deep voice. Lao Bei Resort, said Tang Xiu. After hanging up the phone, Tang Xiu pondered for a moment. With that done, he must leave for Saipan to have a good chat with Tom Reggie. If the man wanted to join them in this venture, then he would give him some benefits. Not to mention that if the reconstruction in Nine Dragons Island had been completed and this place becomes his supreme headquarters, the frequency of his travels to Saipan would increase, thus it'd be necessary to have a good relationship with the man. Big Brother Tang. 100 meters away on the coastline, Yi Lianyan, who had removed the makeup on her face, turned into her former beautiful appearance. Tang Xiu put the satellite phone away as he looked at Yi Lianyan in front of him. Astounded, he said, your face. Yi Lianyan laughed. It's just a trivial means to make myself look ugly so that those pirates shut me out. Tang Xiu suddenly realized as he secretly admired this girl's astuteness inside. Anyways, is there something you need from me? Didn't I tell my men to escort all of you back? The others have been sent off, but I don't want to go. I think this place is good and it's rather safe to be here with you. So I want to stay here for some time, said Yi Lianyan quickly. It's not good for you to follow us. We're a bunch of men, said Tang Xiu with a wry smile. It's fine. You're a bunch of good men, so I can stay here. Besides, you also need to eat, don't you? I can cook for you. My cooking is rather good as well. I can also do the laundry as well as do the cleaning. In short, you won't lose out in having me stay here, said Yi Lianyan. Tang Xiu couldn't help laughing. Fine. Since you want to stay, then stay. But I'll leave 9 Dragons Island today to Saipan to take care of something. I'm afraid I'll only be back a few days later. What are you gonna do in Saipan? Puzzled, Yi Lianyan asked. Work stuff, said Tang Xiu. After hesitating for a moment, she asked, Can I go with you? Tang Xiu shook his head. Nope. If you want to go with me to Saipan, then you can no longer follow me back. After I bring my friend here, then you can leave with him. Hesitating for a moment, she then said, Then I'll stay. I just realized that this island has a great environment. Not to mention that I can stay in that luxurious castle. To be honest, I've never seen such a luxurious palace in my life. Big brother Tang, you're really filthy rich. Chapter 309, Breakthrough. Rich? The thing Tang Xiu most lacked right now was exactly money. Rebuilding 9 Dragon Island itself required a terrifying sum. Yet, the amount he had in hands was not sufficient. Hence, his mind was filled with ideas where he could obtain more when he called Long Zhengyu. However, rebuilding 9 Dragon Island was not a project that could be completed within a short time. Given some time, his magnificent Tang Corp might possibly start making a profit. With a steady flow of financial support, maybe he wouldn't need to worry about money later. So, what do you need me for? Said Tang Xiu to change the topic. If it's not for a meal, then what? Said Yi Lianyan with a smile. I was trying to find you to eat breakfast, but I couldn't find you anywhere. It's noon, so I tried my luck coming here. Never thought you'd really be here, though. Let's go back and have breakfast then, said Tang Xiu with a nod. At this time, all the dead bodies in the castle had been gathered and burnt. Those who were captured by the pirates had been sent back while the dead were taken away. As for how those who left would resettle and what they wanted to do, it was up to them. As Wolfhead and the rest had been cleaning up the castle the entire morning as well as dealing with the broken things, it now looked a lot neater and orderly. After lunch, while watching Yi Lianyan who was quickly cleaning up the tableware, Tang Xiu gave Wolfhead a hand signal as the duo then headed toward the castle's gate. What's your order, boss? I'm about to leave 9 Dragons Island to go back to Saipan and handle some stuff there. So this place will be yours to manage, said Tang Xiu. Don't worry, boss, said Wolfhead. If that girl, Yi Lianyan, wants to stay here, let her be and take care of her. She will also do the laundry and cooking. Also, you are to investigate the entire island while I'm away. If there are other people here, immediately apprehend them and wait for me to come back to handle it. If not, then you are to stay on guard. I believe that it will take a while before the construction project team arrives here, said Tang Xiu. All right. We'll be stationed here, but it will be quite difficult to guard the entire island since we have too few personnel, said Wolfhead. I know, I have too few people under me, said Tang Xiu with a sigh. Wolfhead's face flickered as he quickly said, Boss, aren't you going back to the mainland to pick a bunch of people? If so, I know some powerful ones from the special forces who just retired in the last 1 or 2 years. Their strength can continue to improve if they are properly trained. Tang Shou's expression moved. How are they compared to you? A few of them are not weaker than me. And the rest are on par with those of my team, said Wolfhead. Good. Then, you'll take care of this issue and assign the defense task to the others. I don't mind if the people you bring here are slightly weaker, but I need them to have good characters. Also, I request absolute loyalty from my subordinates. I can assure you about this point. But, about the pay. For a moment, Tang Shou looked distracted as he sized up Wolfhead with a strange expression. He then let out a wry smile and said, "The first time we met, I recall that we did talk about this issue? It seems like I haven't offered you a penny, right? So be it then. I'll pay the 12 of you 500,000 each annually. As for those you will bring, each of them will be paid 300,000 per year. If their first year's performance are good, then tell them they will have the same treatment as yours from the second year on." Roger that, Wolfhead chuckled. I'll withdraw 20 million when I'm to Saipan for you to manage. You can call me when the money runs out. And if there is equipment you need to purchase, you can also freely tell me and I'll spare no effort so long as it is necessary, said Tang Shou. The smile on Wolfhead's face turned thicker. He suddenly found that following Tang Shou was a wise choice. The days after following him had been very splendid and exciting. Be it being able to kill criminals, slaughtering pirates, and living under guns and raining bullets, it let him resurrect the warm-blooded life he once had yesteryear. More so with sufficient funds available to them now. Don't worry, boss. I will help you train a group of elite warriors. Tang Shou waved his hand. I don't have a problem regarding the discipline according to military custom, but leave out the training of martial arts. For that, you'll be under Mo On's management. He's strong and smart enough, so I will assign him to manage this place. Understood. Regarding Tang Shou's arrangement, Wolfhead himself had no objection. He had seen Mo On's strength and knew how fearsome he was. Hence, he was wholeheartedly convinced. By the way, I trekked around the island this morning but I couldn't see any pirate ships. Where are the ships left by those pirates? Asked Tang Shou. Wolfhead laughed. They didn't anchor their ships in the harbor, but in a certain spot of the deep water bay. When those pirates came here, they didn't dare land here blatantly, for fear that there would be dangers on the island. We have checked it, though. There are a total of 3 ships, one of which is an outdated warship that we don't know where they obtained. Each ship is equipped with weapons. Tang Shou nodded. As a pirate, more so for being one for many years, such a capital isn't bad. I'm afraid that it wouldn't be easy to kill them if we run into them at sea. Perhaps we'd even be wrecked and sunk by them. Yeah. For pirates, being able to cross unhindered into the sea showed that they do have the capital. Anyways, boss, the cruise liner you used to sail to Nine Dragons Island is now being used to transport the residents of Southern Bird Island. So it might not be easy for you to go to Saipan since the pirate ship's log is way too obvious. If you do take it, I'm afraid you won't be able to reach Saipan due to being attacked and sunk by the patrol warships. Tang Shou slightly frowned. After hesitating for a moment, he then slowly said, "Can you temporarily modify those ships?" Wolfhead shook his head. It won't be easy. They are equipped with a lot of weapons. It will take a few days to remove them. Forcing out a wry smile, Tang Shou said, "Then forget it. I'll wait for 2 more days for the cruise liner to come back before going Saipan." At night. Atop the castle, Tang Shou sat cross-legged and quietly cultivated. The star force accumulated in his body was getting stronger and he could make a breakthrough to the flesh-strengthening stage at any time. However, no matter how hard he tried, he always failed at the last hurdle. He was there until 4 a.m. and then left the top of the castle to the endpoint of the road leading to the harbor. There, he sat cross-legged right at the spirit spring position. Yesterday he found the existence of the Supreme Emperor Purple Chi here. Hence, he wanted to try and see if it would also appear today for him to absorb it. Time passed by. When the glowing red sunrise came and the first ray of sunshine fell into the sea, a stream of Supreme Emperor Purple Chi descended from eastern horizon and instantly fused into Tang Shou's forehead. Boom. Sitting cross-legged and cultivating, Tang Shou's body jolted. His sea of consciousness seemed to have been split by an invisible force. Shortly after, the Supreme Emperor Purple Chi channeled itself into his sea of consciousness and flowed downwards. Within a short dozen breaths, it had circulated within Tang Shou's meridians for a few times. Give in to me. Tang Shou's consciousness could hardly contain this Supreme Emperor Purple Chi within. Relying on sheer tearing effort, only then was it drawn into his dantian. The star force inside his dantian steadily approached this Supreme Emperor Purple Chi, attempting to wrap and refine it. However, the Supreme Emperor Purple Chi gave off a very strong repulsion force as it struggled and resisted time and time again, almost breaking the enveloping star force several times. Gradually, as though adapting to the star force's presence, the struggling Supreme Emperor Purple Chi became milder. Along with the encroaching star force, the stream of Supreme Emperor Purple Chi shrunk into a thumb-sized ball. Fuse. Clenching his teeth, Tang Shou controlled his star force and went all out to squeeze this mass of Supreme Emperor Purple Chi. After spending more than 10 minutes, the star force and the Supreme Emperor Purple Chi came into contact thoroughly as its repelling force eventually dissipated, and fused into his star force. Buzz. Tang Shou felt as though his body was ignited. All the blood inside his body, from head to foot, was boiling hot while an invisible energy washed and quenched his internal organs. The energy in his skin layer turned more compact and its toughness became stronger despite becoming thinner. With his spiritual sense, Tang Shou then examined his body's internal state. Much to his ecstasy, his body was in the middle of an insane transformation due to the Supreme Emperor Purple Chi. His internal organs were constantly being quenched and rejuvenated, becoming more powerful. His tendons and bones became more tenacious and solid while all his body muscles began to fission unceasingly. Each cell split into 2 and then split into 4. The weak cells were ruthlessly expelled from his body while the strong ones remained. Even the number of cells in the muscles layer began its increasing cell division. Each cell became stronger and each of its layers turned thicker than before. The number of cell layers had doubled in just half an hour. Though Tang Shou's body didn't seem to have changed looking from his outward appearance, the intensity and strength of his body had violently increased for several times. Were someone to shoot him, perhaps it wouldn't be able to pierce his skin and could only leave mark on it at the most. A carefree laugh came out of Tang Shou's mouth the moment he opened his eyes. As his body jumped, he was already stepping on the sea surface in an instant. Churning, tapping, and spraying the ocean. Tang Shou indulged himself for a few minutes in the joyous feeling of a breakthrough as he then returned, wet and damped, to the spirit spring. He found that, while cultivating, the spiritual force within the spirit spring would be drawn into his body continuously. Furthermore, due to the extraction of spiritual force, his absorption speed of star force was faster than before. Chapter 310, Highest Existence. On the way back to the castle, happiness still filled Tang Shou's mind. He had, after all, been stuck in the skin strengthening stage for a long time and finally had a breakthrough now with the help of the Supreme Emperor Purple Chi. His strength soared by several times as his overall strength became twice as powerful than before at the least. Prior to this, when he first met Viviani, he felt that he wasn't her opponent. After all, she possessed an unusual terrifying aura. But now, he had the confidence to fight her even if Viviani was an expert martial artist. He might not be able to beat her, but he still could injure her if he paid a price. If I were able to absorb this Supreme Emperor Purple Chi every day, wouldn't I probably be able to advance to the peak level of the flesh strengthening stage? Tang Shou then made up his mind to cultivate in this place every day before he left, striving to have an early breakthrough to the peak level of the flesh strengthening stage. 3 days later, just as Tang Shou finished drawing the sketch for the reconstruction of Nine Dragons Island, The cruise liner that carried the residents of Southern Bird Island back returned. Accompany me to Saipan. We might need Tom Reggie's help to reconstruct Nine Dragons Island, said Tang Xiu in a deep voice while taking the reconstruction drawing. We can trust him, boss. I will fix him myself if he dares to mess up, said Mo An with a nod. Tang Xiu smiled, let's go. The rest of you will stay here. I plan to look for a construction team in Saipan, but I changed my mind now. I called a friend of mine who's in the real estate business in the mainland, and he has agreed to bring his construction team here. I hope Nine Dragons Island's reconstruction can be carried out smoothly. 2 days later, the cruise liner docked at Saipan port. After assigning the docking procedures to the crew, he and Mo An then headed to Lao Bay Resort. Hey, I'm here. I'm in Seaview Villa number 17. Got it. After contacting Long Zhengyu, Tang Xiu immediately went to Seaview Villa number 17. Tang Xiu gave Long Zhengyu a big hug after seeing him and then said in a deep voice, let me introduce you. He's Mo An, my man. An, this is Long Zhengyu, my friend. The two men shook hands as Mo An then immediately said, boss, Tom in on his way. He should be here soon. Then I'll wait for him. Anyways, you wait for him outside, Zhengyu and I need to discuss something. All right. Immediately after, Tang Xiu and Long Zhengyu went inside. After taking a seat, Tang Xiu straightforwardly said, Tom Reggie is Mo An's friend, a fierce and experienced character who has gone through life and death situations. He's also this Lao Bay Resort's majority shareholder and kinda has a big influence in Saipan. He can help with the reconstruction of the island I bought. Squinting his eyes, Long Zhengyu said, I can let him buy some shares. I know you will make money, but I'll be struggling and short on it. Nine Dragons Island's reconstruction is a huge project, and I have to invest a huge sum on it. After hesitating for a moment, Long Zhengyu then seriously asked, Tang Xiu, we're brothers nevertheless. But I still want to know what kind of concept you have devised to reconstruct Nine Dragons Island? Tang Xiu handed the reconstruction design plan he brought to Long Zhengyu and said, Nine Dragons Island already has some buildings, but I need to expand the area and build more buildings, which has a lot of special requirements. Have a look, you'll get it. Opening the reconstruction design plan, Long Zhengyu spent a few minutes observing it as a burst of shock suffused in his eyes. After a long while, he then looked at Tang Xiu, yet the shock still hadn't left his expression. I want to know something. Why are you spending so many funds in this project? This place is gonna be my domain later. A domain that truly belongs to me, where I'm the highest existence there, Tang Xiu laughed. Long Zhengyu forced a smile and said, say, brother Tang, you want to found a state, eh? Tang Xiu laughed, build a fart country? Bah, it's just dozens of square kilometers. Long Zhengyu asked, Tang Xiu, I know you have a lot of money, though I don't know how much. But you don't have enough, right? Also, this project is rather huge, so how much do you need to invest for the initial period? First of all, us being brothers aside, business is still business. The best I can do for you is by taking only the minimal earnings in the construction project. But I can't provide the funds for the advance payment. You already know that my Long family has nearly spent all our funds in the joint cooperation project. Stretching out a finger, Tang Xiu lightly said, I'll give you 10 billion in advance for you to manage. Contact me again when the money runs out. Astounded, Long Zhengyu asked in astonishment, where did you get so much money from? I bumped into some trouble in Hong Kong but also got an unexpected fortune. I won't tell you the details though. In short, I can transfer you the money anytime, but you must guarantee the quality of the project, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Sure, said Long Zhengyu solemnly. I won't have much time to stay and inspect the reconstruction of Nine Dragons Island. So if you also don't have much time, it's best to send your most trusted man to take the helm and stay there. Also, you don't need to worry about trouble since some of my men will be responsible for the security there. said Tang Xiu with a nod. Got it. Long Zhengyu nodded. Moments after, Tom Reggie and Emoan arrived. I'm really glad to know that you came back, Mr. Tang. By the way, this friend is, Tom Reggie warmly shook hands with Tang Xiu as he then turned to look at Long Zhengyu. Tang Xiu introduced, he's a friend from my country. I especially called him here to discuss a business cooperation for a certain project. It's also exactly why I invited you to come since I'm going to ask you whether you're interested to earn some money from me. From you, a puzzled expression appeared on Tom Reggie's face. Tang Xiu explained the matter and then finally said, you're a local tyrant here in Saipan, you can handle things more conveniently than Long Zhengyu. So if you want to join us in this, you gotta make a decision now. Shock suffused in Tom Reggie's eyes as he inquired, but can you really come up with more than 20 billion funds, Mr. Tang? 20 billion may be a huge sum of money, but it's not a problem for me. What I care about is the progress of the work and the quality. I can get the money as long as you have the ability, said Tang Xiu with a smile. That's all right. Tom Reggie nodded heavily, I'm interested in this profitable project anyway. What's more, I'm doing a business with a big boss such as you, Mr. Tang. Anyways, Mr. Long, since this is Mr. Tang's project, do you have any ideas in mind for cooperation? About the earning share issues, let's have a separate negotiation later, said Long Zhengyu. All right. Tom Reggie nodded and laughed. I don't want to know about the issues between the two of you, so you can discuss it between yourselves, said Tang Xiu. In short, you just need to handle the project quality and its progress for me. By the way, do you both want to see the island I bought? Certainly. Besides, we don't know the current situation on the island yet. So we can arrange the specific and concrete construction project after we have finished the fieldwork survey, said Long Zhengyu. How about now? This matter shouldn't be delayed, right? Asked Tang Xiu with a smile. Long Zhengyu looked at Tom Reggie. The latter had a difficult-to-describe expression as he said, would you please wait for a while, Mr. Tang? I have some important things I have yet to deal with. Give me half a day. After I have finished handling my matters, we'll leave early in the morning tomorrow. Is that fine with you? All right then. I'll be resting here today, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Tom Reggie immediately said, I'll arrange accommodations right away. Waving his hand to him, Tang Xiu said, I'll stay here. Long Zhengyu is one of us anyway, no need for the civilities. You can go busy yourself. Let's have dinner after you're done with your things. If so, I'll take my leave first. With Tom Reggie leaving, Long Zhengyu squinted his eyes and said, this Tom Reggie is not bad, Tang Xiu. Seemingly a straightforward man to me. If he has no boldness and resolution, how can he do a big business? Tom Reggie has an unusual identity and used to be a very fierce man. His mind and decision-making abilities are good, so get along and speak openly about whatever you have in mind with him, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Relax. Besides, the most important thing in a cooperation is integrity and trust, which I can vouch for myself. Anyhow, have you contacted your family since you left Beijing? I heard from Ouyang Lulu that your paternal aunt was looking for you, but she couldn't contact you. Long Zhengyu laughed. Paternal aunt? Tang Min's face appeared in Tang Xiu's mind as he then shook his head and said, I haven't contacted anyone. Aside from contacting several important people after I came abroad, I haven't called too many people. But, what did she contact me for? I dunno, Long Zhengyu shook his head. Call and ask Ouyang Lulu if you want to find out about it. Or you can call her directly. Tang Xiu was silent for a moment as he nodded, I'll contact her later. Let's go. I'll take you to a Thai massage. This place has a good one. That's right, I also made an acquaintance here, a very vigorous and heroic-spirited person as well as generous and loyal. Who? Asked Long Zhengyu. I don't know what he does since I didn't ask him. Tang Xiu shook his head and said, but he should be a big boss, though. He called himself Old Fatty Li, so I called him likewise. Old Fatty Li, astonishment covered Long Zhengyu's face. Are you saying he's the Northeast steel magnate Li Laozhan? Yeah, he seems to be called Li Laozhan, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Raising his thumb up, Long Zhengyu exclaimed with a sigh, damn, I really didn't expect you would meet and make acquaintances with Li Laozhan here. That fella is a terrific guy, notoriously proud and haughty in the country. Unless you can fascinate him with your skill, otherwise he would have normally ignored you. Eh? Surprised, Tang Xiu said in astonishment, you mean, he's crazy?